Hi everybody! Today we're going to be working on making great sentences. Now I know a lot of times when students are writing, they're not sure what makes a good sentence. So today we're going to address that. We're going to talk about what makes a good sentence, and we're also going to talk about what are the 3 sentence errors that come up the most. So what we're going to do is we're going to do a presentation. I'm going to walk you through it. We're going to do some practice. So let's get started. Okay, so we have 3 objectives for this video. The first is that we want to be able to identify the 3 parts of a complete sentence. The second is that we need to distinguish between the 3 errors, fragments, run-ons, and comma splices. Finally, we want to be able to correct the errors in sentences effectively. In search of the perfect sentence, run-ons, comma splices, and fragments. So the first question is, what makes a complete sentence? Do you know? Have any ideas? Well, a complete sentence has these 3 parts. 1, it has a subject, which is the person or thing committing the action. Then it has a verb, which is the action. And then it has the result part of the sentence, the object. Oftentimes this receives the action. So here's my sentence. Some people believe in aliens. Some people is the subject, believe is the verb, and what do they believe in? Aliens. So aliens is the object. Let's look then at these sentences. Are you able to find the subject, the verb, and the object? Well, let's look at the first sentence. The aliens landed on planet Earth. The aliens landed on planet Earth. Are you able to locate that, the subject, the verb, and the object? I'll correct it with you in a second. Let's look at the second one. Many people claimed that they saw a UFO. Many people claimed that they saw a UFO. What's the subject? What's the verb? And what's the object? The third sentence, some people believe that UFOs are not real. Some people believe that UFOs are not real. Look for the subject, the verb, and the object. So here are the answers. The aliens landed on planet Earth. The aliens is a subject. What did they do? The verb is landed on planet Earth. Sentence 2, many people, that's the subject, claimed, that's the verb, that they saw a UFO. Object. Some people, subject, believe, verb, that's the action word, that UFOs are not real. Did you get any of those right? I hope so. So, if those are the 3 parts of a sentence, the question I have for you is, what is a run-on? A run-on is when 2 sentences are shoved together without proper punctuation. So when we say run-on, what we're actually saying is, instead of 1 sentence that's complete, it's 2 sentences that are shoved together. So you have an SVO, subject, verb, object, and then another SVO. So you end up having 2 sentences put together when in fact there should be punctuation in between. So here's the first sentence. Tell me where you think the run-on is. Where does one sentence end and when the next sentence begin? The party last night was amazing. I really enjoyed myself. The party last night was amazing. I really enjoyed myself. Johnny is so mean, I'll never date him. Johnny is so mean, I'll never date him. We're looking for 1 sentence, and then where does the next sentence start? I keep waiting for him, it's terrible. I keep waiting for him, it's terrible. Did you find them? Ah, sorry, what happened? Where did my thing go? Hold on. Okay, so let's look at it. The party last night was amazing. I really enjoyed myself. The first sentence ends after amazing. I really enjoyed myself. That's the second sentence. Johnny is so mean I'll never date him. Johnny, here's the subject, is the verb, so mean, that's the object. Then a new sentence is here. I'll never date him. I will, that's the I is the subject with will, never date him. That's the object. I keep waiting for him. It's terrible. How do you figure it out? I, that's the subject, keep waiting, that's the verb, for him. That's the end of the sentence. Next sentence, it is terrible. So this is what a run-on is. Two sentences shoved together with no punctuation. So the next question, what is a comma splice? What is a comma splice? Have you heard of it? A comma splice has two sentences, but those sentences are separated by a comma. A comma splice is like a run-on in that it contains two or more SVOs. So a comma splice is just like a run-on. It has an SVO, then a comma, then an SVO, a subject-verb-object. So it's two sentences separated by a comma. Comma splices and run-ons are very similar errors. One has a comma and one does not, but they're both incorrect. So here are some examples of comma splices. Mustangs are popular cars. They're American. Mustangs are popular cars. They're American. If that's the comma splice, what is the issue? Where does one sentence end and the next one start? Well, here you go the subject, Mustangs, are popular cars. Are is the verb, popular cars. That's the first sentence, separated by a comma. They are American. They is the subject. Are is the verb, American. Do you see that there are two SVOs, subject, verb, objects, or sentences, separated by a comma? Let's look at the next one. Some people love black Mustangs. I love purple ones. Some people love black Mustangs. I love purple ones. Where's the first sentence end? After Mustangs. I love purple ones. Brand new sentence. Sentence 3. I plan to buy a Mustang. It's my favorite car. I plan to buy a Mustang. It's my favorite car. Do you see that the first sentence is here, I plan to buy a Mustang. Second sentence, it's my favorite car. Error, you don't use just a comma to fix this. So let's keep going. So there are, if you have a fragment or a run-on, how do you fix it? What can you do? Any ideas? Here we go. There are 3 ways to fix a to fix a run-on or a comma splice. First, you can fix it with a comma and then a fanboy. A comma itself won't do it, but if you add a fanboy, one of the for, and, nor, but, or, yet, so, any one of those words, you're going to be able to fix that sentence. If you don't want to use a fanboy, you can use a semicolon, or you can use a semicolon with a connector word like however, moreover, one of those transition words. Finally, you could use a period and a capital letter. So there are 3 ways that you're going to be able to fix a run-on or a comma splice. Let's practice. Correct these sentences, and we're going to use a fanboy. Remember, for and nor, but, or, yet, so. All of these words are all useful in correcting and connecting 2 sentences, but they do have different meanings, right? For is not the same as and, which is also not the same as nor. So you just have to be careful about which one you're choosing. But let's look at a run-on. Reggae is classic, it never gets old. So we go back and we try and find the S, the V, and the O to make sure that we have one sentence. Reggae is classic. Here's the first sentence. It never gets old. Now, if I wanted to use a fanboy, how could I use it? I could correct it by adding a comma and one of these words, comma fanboy. And, for, okay? With a comma splice, we can correct that in the same way. Here's the sentence. Both Peter Tosh and Bob Marley were amazing artists. It's tragic that they both died young. So if this is the first sentence separated by a comma, I could use and, I could use so, but remember it's going to be comma fanboy when you correct it. Corrected, reggae is classic and it never gets old. Both Peter Tosh and Bob Marley were amazing artists, so it's tragic that they both died young. Now, we could also correct it with the semicolon. If you correct it with the semicolon, what can you do? You find the first sentence. Sometimes 8-year-old kids can be crazy. Moms can be crazy too. Where's the sentence break? After the first crazy. So you could add a semicolon. Similarly, my 8-year-old makes me laugh. We have a lot of fun together. Here's where the sentence ends. If I add a semicolon, here would be crazy, and here would be the semicolon between the two sentences. If you can use a period and a capital letter to correct, then the run-on, Jack Johnson is a great guitar player. His songs are relaxing and uplifting. After player, you would use a period capital letter. Jack Johnson plays the ukulele. I do too. Here in this comma splice, if I'm going to replace it with a period and capital letter, it would look like this. I do too. Now, what's a fragment? A fragment is an incomplete sentence. It's missing either the subject, the verb, or the object. So instead of the fragment having too many parts, it's not enough parts. It doesn't qualify to make a sentence without having a subject, a verb, or an object. It needs something to be complete. How do you fix a fragment? Well, you add the missing element. You fix the punctuation if it's needed. Is there a subject, a verb, and an object? That's what you have to ask yourself. So how do you get there? Here's the example. Tupac as popular today as he was when he was alive. Sounds like something's missing, right? What do you think is missing? Let's look at the second sentence. Loves classic rappers like 50 Cent and Eminem. Who does? Not clear. So the first one, Tupac is as popular today as when he was alive. The second sentence, so here the first sentence is missing the verb is, it needs the verb. And the second one, who loves classic rappers? Jenny does. Okay, it needs a subject. So, questions? Did you get the different types of sentence errors? Let's review. What makes a perfect sentence? A subject, a verb, and an object. What are the 3 types of major sentence errors? Fragment, run-on, comma splice. What is a fragment? It is an incomplete sentence. It's missing one of the parts. What is a run-on? It's 2 sentences put together with no punctuation. What's a comma splice? A comma splice is 2 sentences put together with a comma. How do you fix run-ons and comma splices? Well, there are 3 ways. Semicolon, or semicolon connector word, comma fanboy, and period capital letter. How do you fix fragments? Well, you add what's missing. So here's what we accomplished today. We identified the 3 parts of a complete sentence, we distinguished between fragments, run-ons, and comma splices, and we corrected errors in sentences effectively. Good job! Our work here is done.